Well, hello. Good evening.
How's
For
everyone doing?
for those of you in the U.S., happy evening on Thursday. For those of you in Australia and New Zealand, like Draga Recker, happy Friday.
Yep. Oh
Actually,
yeah, end of
yeah.
work.
And end of work week for you, or not so much for me, but yeah. Okay, so I'm hoping that the sound is good there. Hey, Jen, welcome everybody else. The Rocket Couch, Mrs. Cassandra, Grace, April, all of you coming in as we talk. But tonight, while there is so much on Samuel Bankman-Fried, and for my own sanity, I have to just refer to him as FBF because every time I go to say his name, I start mangling it. So when I say SBF tonight, I mean Samuel Bankman Fried. Okay. And then we're going to talk about his company that is in bankruptcy here in the United States, the FTX US portion. Okay. But also is up, Samuel Bankman Fried is up on serious charges with the Department of Justice here for fraud to his customers. All Americans and most people around the world will understand when I say a la shades of Bernie Madoff. Okay. We'll be making reference to him a lot in regards to this. But it's all in regards to crypto, which is why I have Drager here because when it comes to crypto, I had a lot to learn. I had a lot to learn because I've avoided crypto like the plague because I'm used to traditional stock markets in commodities in tangible assets of sites in crypto scared me. And so I never really paid that much attention to it, but over the last couple of months I've had to pay a lot of attention to it. Oh.
Can I just say something?
Mm-hmm.
I'm really glad I haven't gotten on any one of your legal shows yet as the recipient. I mean, at all. I haven't done anything. I swear I haven't murdered anyone.
You
Just
haven't murdered
don't.
anyone? Yeah.
No,
Have you
no,
invested
no.
in crypto, or are you running an MLM that I don't know about, or a Bernie Madoff
Well,
scam that
actually,
I
I
don't know
have
about?
this multi-level. I mean,
Not
um,
this is not a funny show. Knock it
uh,
off.
no,
Okay. I
sorry,
actually have you
sorry.
here to actually help with some of the definitions and stuff and your understanding of some of this. And you've been following it. You're the reason I'm in this hurricane of information of Samuel for SPF and FTX. This is all your fault. That's why you're here carrying half the weight. You
I,
brought it to
I
one of my shows, did you not?
I did. I did.
Mm-hmm.
I take full responsibility. I'll
Mm.
bury the body.
It is.
I
Well,
mean,
hopefully we won't have to, but with over 110 years of accumulated charges, that could be the penalty on what he's looking at. SBF,
oh yeah.
yeah, Samuel Bankman-Fried, oh, does have a bit of a problem here. And the two cases that I'm going to talk the most about today are the Department of Justice, of course, in New York. He was just in court. He did his arraignment on January 2nd. We're going to talk about that. We're going to just talk about the charges the Department of Justice here in the United States has to him in regards to the handling of FTX US, okay, and how he may have created this whole thing just to commit fraud. There's a huge bankruptcy going on with FTX US here in the United States, and there's all types of scandal and rumor and speculation going on with that one too. So we'll talk about that. However, I can't ignore the fact that there are many other cases. There are two other civil cases with the SEC and the DCOC right here in the United States in regards to how he managed everything and what was happening, and those are civil cases that they filed, which I can give you further information on. I've got plenty of stuff. If you're interested in the actual civil cases, let me know. Hit me on DM or preferably on the back of this video. So we kill two birds with one stone. You make some traction for the video, and I actually know exactly what cases you're referring to, because it's in regards to this video. There's so much. I'm going to be linking you a lot of things in the chat that we don't have time to go over piece by piece by piece
And
because
can I just prefix something?
uh,
Anyone that says that they know everything about crypto knows nothing about crypto.
exactly. I don't claim to
Not
know a damn thing about it. Nope.
not Yeah, not even the crypto professionals know really what crypto is or how to use it. That's the idea.
Mm-hmm.
It's so decentralized.
It absolutely is the whole premise of it. It's not regulated. There's a lot of things that we'll notice. One in particular I'm going to bring to everyone's attention is that the Department of Justice complaint does not say anything legal about the trading and things like that, because that's not actually, there's nothing really that they can go hard. It doesn't list commodities in specifics or things like that because it's crypto. Okay. And that came forward in a very interesting article that I'm going to give to you if you're interested in exactly what the three entities, the SEC and the CFTC and the DOJ, what they all have in common or not. This article right here from a law place, okay, can boil that down for you. It will give you the comparisons and whatnot. Okay. All of these are the criminal and the civil charges here in the United States against Sam Bankman. That doesn't have anything to do with the Bahamas. So let's be clear. When I say FTX US, I'm talking about the branch of FTX, which is a Bahama company. Okay, he founded FTX International in the Bahamas. It's an international company. It goes under different rules than here in the United States. They then did this out branch here to FTX US to be able to trade this commodity or whatever you want to call it, this crypto here in the United States under that. So there's two separate factions we'll be talking about. Uh, we'll refer to them clearly as international and U.S. Let's try, Drager, because it gets really messy, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It gets really,
It's.
really, really messy.
I
Welcome,
hope you're all
Brilliant.
buckled in.
Yeah, I hope welcome, Brilliant, and welcome, Jin. And yeah, I hope you are like buckled in, because let me just start with, this is how messy it is. Okay, I'm gonna put up a chart. I'm not making any accusations against anybody with this chart. This chart wasn't created by me, but it's going to tell you some of the key players we're going to be talking about, and you can see how they're related. That's the purpose of the chart. Okay, nothing else. Okay, and when you see it, you'll understand why I'm saying it that way. Okay. Um, when you look at this chart, it shows, okay, FTX as the main company up here. And one of the main complaints is how he was funneling money from FTX and Alameda Research, which is another company that he started, his main company, that he ran with his one time girlfriend, Carolyn Ellison, who became the CEO of that company. Okay.
I believe it's still alleged girlfriend, ex
Alleged,
girlfriend.
alleged, that alleged, you don't think they ever, okay.
I
uh,
I think that they probably did, but I haven't actually seen any confirming information that
I
they
haven't
had
seen a
a.
statement from her saying anything, but it gets reported a lot that way. Okay. All
Yeah,
right. Let's say alleged. Thank you. So
better to be safe than.
absolutely. So right now, Samuel Bankman-Fried, he's been arraigned and he pleaded not guilty just recently on January 2nd, here in the United States. Well, let me tell you a little bit about what happened prior to that. He was in the Bahamas. He was arrested in the Bahamas and he was waiting for extradition, right? While he is in the plane coming over here, after he agreed to be extradited, he wanted to face the charges. He was everything, you know. He's on his way over here. All of a sudden it drops that Gary Wang, who is the co-founder of FTX, the one of the main the main company, okay, has made a plea deal with the United States, with the Department of Justice, and is going to give testimony for all of his charges because he also was charged. He pled guilty and he's cooperating with the prosecutors. He had four major charges of fraud and conspiracy to commit fraud on him for this creation of FTX and to be able to make this trading in the United States with it. Okay. Kind of a la, pyramid scheme kind of is what the accusations are. Very much similar to the Bernie Madoff case in some of it. Although, although when you hear what John Ray has to say about it, it gets quite worse. Okay. John Ray being the man who was put in charge when they removed when they removed Samuel Bankman-Fried, when all of this scandal came forth, I reported, we did another video prior on this, to where we told you about a shortage in a balance sheet, and then people tweeting about it, and all of this stuff came in. There's a liquidation crunch going on. People want their money back. The money's not there. Questions are answered. Boom. Charges, 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 charges. Cards collapse everywhere. Everything starts falling apart because people could not get their money back right away. There was some discrepancies. Okay, but it all started with FTX International. Okay, right, and Alameda, and the way Samuel Bankman-Fried, he's being accused of funneling money back and forth from Alameda Research to FTX in a quite backdoor, not disclosing to the customers or anybody on the board or anybody else, in a backdoor kind of sneaky kind of way, just to put it in layman's term, shuffling money around unprofessionally, amongst what we found out in those first reportings, about 120 different companies that are all tied into this with FTX International. As you can see, just this part here is pretty confusing, right? There's a lot going on with the different
This
companies.
is
Yeah. Mm.
this is almost getting as complicated as
And I
that Black
assure you,
Mirror episode.
of Bandersnatch, yes, you can
Yeah,
make a
hang on
difference.
a minute.
Yeah.
Let's start drawing it up.
No, but unfortunately, this is only one small part. When I say there was 120 different companies, they were. And this came forward with, remember, in the beginning, there was a hearing, in Congress here in the United States. They were investigating all of this stuff that's been going on since November with Samuel Bankman-Fried and FTX, and why is it collapsing so fast, and how is this, and what do we got to look at? And the man that they put in charge, when they removed Samuel Bankman, the board removed Samuel Bankman and put John Ray in charge. Okay. John Ray from Enron, who also was put in charge of that collapse at that time. And he was put in charge for the bankruptcy and everything. He's got a great reputation for that. He's got a stellar star there for how he handled Enron as far as the professionals are all concerned. That it was all done appropriately. Everybody was confident putting him in, and he filed for bankruptcy immediately, which started like a whole big mess. So he went in and he gave testimony. He gave testimony to them to let them ask questions on what was going on, because everything was so crazy. And he said it was one of the worst structures he'd ever seen. Ever seen. And that it made Enron look simple. Okay. And Bernie Madoff like look like a amateur. These are his statements, okay? That's how bad he says it is. He starts talking about the structure. He starts talking about they had no joint accounting between any of these companies. Nobody could tell what anything was going on. That Bankman-Fried was in charge of it all of these transfers. He had authority to do all of this, okay, and that he knew all of this was going on. He said it's clear, it's a mess. Untangling it is going to be incredibly difficult. They talk about not having bookkeeping, not having human resources. They talk. I love this quote. Well, they have one of the congressmen asked him, well, did they have at least a compliance department? And he's like, well, they had people with titles.
we had let me paraphrase. Next question.
Yeah. No, he answered. He said they had people with titles. They did, but no department. They had no human resources. There was legal and Friedman. I mean, not Friedman, Bankman-Fried. Okay, I got to start calling him SBF. I'm going to start mangling his name. They had SBF and they had legal people. This it. Okay, but each department didn't share, like each company didn't share like all of this. So it's like it's kind of together, but it's not together. And it is, for the most part, the main company is out of this country. Okay, that's where he lived, in the Bahamas. That's where he ran everything. And if you'll remember, the Bahamas also have a case against him. And part of the problem is the Bahamas froze like a lot of like $3.8 billion worth of assets or something, because they want to get
Yeah.
their customers and their people and everybody, their responsibilities handled over there. And so they kind of asked one statement I saw said that they had asked Gary Wang and Samuel Bankman-Fried to actually put forward so that some of this stuff was available to pay back customers so that they could get to it. Okay. And it seems like that process there is making it look like after the bankruptcy was filed here and after the DOJ filed charges here, that they were moving money around. Okay, like it looks really bad. SBF is screaming at the top of his lung, I don't have access to anything. I'm just trying to comply legally with things that are being thrown at me in the Bahamas about Bahama assets. Like he's trying to do what they're asking him to do, while others over here in the United States, between the bankruptcy court and the Department of Justice, are also asking him to do stuff. So there's like no one seems to be talking to each other very well, or it's the delay in the conversations that are causing media reporting that is absolutely like every day there's something about this. Every day there's some new crazy story about this.
I
Uh,
believe this is why you don't bake more than one type of pie at a time.
because the flavors intermingle and you can't tell what you're smelling anymore or something. I
Yep.
don't know. So I'm like
You
I
smell
tried.
burnt toast and probably wake up in hospital.
Well, I don't know, but it is this it can be very, very confusing. It also gets confusing when you're looking at it and you're trying to say, well, from which angle am I looking at it, right, Rager? Am I looking at it over here? Am I going to listen to the crypto people reporting on it? Because there are just channels on YouTube that just do crypto reporting, and there are many updates and newsletters coming out from the Bitcoin and from CoinDesk and from this one and that one, all about crypto and all about the main companies and how it's affecting them with FTX, and they're coming out with all kinds of stuff too. I mean, this is not the only bankruptcy. FTX is not the only bankruptcy related to this. There was a collapsing of cards that goes down. Several other companies have already filed for bankruptcy. And Genesis is one of them. They haven't filed yet that I was aware of. As of yesterday, when I read the articles on Genesis, that hadn't happened yet because they were still in negotiations, but nobody was coming up with a good proposal on how they were going to avoid it. Okay. And
And there's going to be.
the reason I
Oh,
mentioned Genesis, I'm sorry, Drugger, is that
it's okay.
they had lent money back and forth with FTX. They're tied in. They're tied in. Go ahead.
And I think you'll find that a lot of smaller crypto creators or crypto companies are probably shaking quite a bit now due to what's happening,
Mm-hmm.
because with Sam Bankman-Fried being or was one of the two biggest crypto companies in the
Mm-hmm.
world, it's going, whatever they decide to do with him is going to be felt not just from the bigger companies, but it's going to be felt even more dramatically by the smaller crypto coins,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of the smaller crypto coins are rug pulls or fraudulent or Logan Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. No, I get it. Did you actually got that out without choking? I'm kind of impressed. Okay. So
I wasn't drinking anything.
okay, so here we go with Sleet. This comment here, which I'm pretty much like I've been thinking a little bit about. If the U.S. wanted to drive speculators away from having financial interest in crypto, this is a pretty good strategy. Assuming they encouraged SBF in his heyday and he was the Dems' second best pal, Soros being first best pal. I know he was on, there's no doubt that he was not coveting the support of government at the time. He was, okay? That's all fully admitted. It kills two birds with one stone, entrepreneur, and I get it, i.e., the Dems get the money, crypto speculation is discouraged. And that is a thought that I've had, Sleet. I'm with you there. Like, who's discouraging all of this from happening and take out one of the biggest players? But because if you'll remember, some of the speculation about that leaked balance sheet is who leaked it. You know, why did there was another big player in the market, and I'm going to stop mentioning his name because it's not fair, who's also been here, who kind of leaks tweets about it and pulled out of deals and everything. It actually caused everybody to start wanting their money back immediately, and which
Can I
caused the
say it?
liquidation crunch. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can, I guess.
CZ.
CZ, yes. Because they were competitors. They were working on a deal. When Samuel Bankman-Fried was dealing with him with about some shortfall that he had in some coverage, and they were working on a deal that was going to go through, and CZ put the brakes on it, and everything started falling apart. You know.
I would say CZ was very instrumental
You can
in
block
playing this
them.
downfall
Mm-hmm. Yep.
because well, the way he played that was he essentially put out his hand to help SBF and then pulled it away at the last minute.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And
Um, and we don't actually know whether or not what he did could have actually,
mm-hmm.
it might have actually saved SBF um, from this whole debacle because it would have meant that there would have been liquid assets.
Exactly. And we also have to remember that during that deal, CZ actually held up a deal prior to that in regards to not giving the actual documentation required to get some licensing and registration that needed to be due to get these big deals through it. He had put the monkey wrench in a couple of things prior. And when there are comments in the chat that are saying he had incentive, this is what I am thinking. But I will admit that, like, I don't know enough about it from following it months prior. I'm going in it after the fact and looking at everything, but to me it did look a little speculative that, not to say that he did anything right. Don't take my statements wrong as to saying I'm supporting Samuel SBF, I'm going to say, as to if he did anything wrong. But I'm saying a lot of this piling on and a lot of these things that are happening, they had industry reasons for things to remove him. Just remember, he was an altruist at one point, very, very rich and wanting to give all the money away. Remember, to start
Yes.
donations and charities, and to have companies build their funds in such a way that they made all of this money, and it's so damn easy. But we're just going to give it all away and do it. I mean, he admitted to only owning the clothes that were on his back at one time or in his backpack. People say he's a pretty low maintenance kind of person. Goes from couch to couch and this and that, and he had a lot of money. Okay, and a lot of money, and he was like putting it out there like, mm, his own way was different than everybody else's. But then he started to covet the United States government
Well,
into making crypto a legitimate market in some way. Now that
so,
that got a little scary, don't you think, to people that have been doing crypto for all along and it's working just fine and they're making all their
oh yeah.
millions? Do they want other governments involved? I don't think so. And this is all like, I'm not trying to make this whole big like behind the scenes scary thing. I'm just saying there's some obvious
There
things that
is,
just stick out.
yeah, there is a lot of incentive for people not to have any of crypto at all be looked at. Um, and with SBF, his he portrayed himself as very low maintenance and stuff, but the bits of information that I've found personally sort of uh, show him driving a Toyota Corolla, but living in a $20
Mansion.
million mansion.
Well, they do have nice views, those $20 million mansions.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, no,
yeah,
I could.
I know.
Fair enough.
Was it? And then here's the thing. That's what gives you the shades of Bernie Madoff. Was it all just smoke and mirrors? Was he all just like playing it that way so you trusted him? Because there are two stories out there about him: that he's honest, he's down to earth, he doesn't really care about the money, he was just trying to do the thing. His statement being over and over again that, hey, he says, I effed up. Okay. I'm going to show you his new Substack that he put up. He repeats it again. I'm going to show you the testimony he was going to give to Congress. He says it in there too. I messed up. I know things are bad. I want people to get their money back, and I'm going to show you how it can be done. But this is wrong, what's going on to me here. He keeps repeating the fact that FTX US is solvent. And he just did a Substack and put out the balance sheets that kind of indicated it is. And interviews that John Ray just gave recently to some financial people and people that are interested in this. And he's talking about everything's on the table. We may open up for business again so people can get their money, like, would allude to the fact that perhaps that's correct. Where did the money come from all of a sudden if they weren't solving? Okay, to begin with, and you're in a bankruptcy, but you're going to open it up and people are going to get their money back. Do you see what I mean? The contradictions in the statements going on between the two, and some of the things I have to admit that SBF is saying do make a little bit of sense. In please don't attack me, YouTube. Like, I'm not saying he's innocent. Lots of people have lost money. I get that, and that's wrong. Okay, if he misrepresented himself in any way, he needs to be held accountable for it, and I'm all for it. I'm saying he's not the only one. Okay, he is not the only one in this mesh of mess that's going on. They were all. Okay, thankfully, I can report to you that in the plea agreements for both Ellison and Wang, there's restitution clauses. Money has to be given back into the fund so people can get their money back, and that's a standard thing. Like, you're not getting away with it just because they're not going to spend the rest of their lives in jail. They're not getting away with anything. They are going to have to pay restitutions, and they're going to be involved in these long dragged out court cases. And they have both given evidence against Samuel Bankman-Fried as he knew what was going on in those transfers, specifically from FTX to Alameda and back and forth, that he was well aware,
And
that he directed it, that he was responsible for it. I don't know if they're going so far to say it's his idea, but they are definitely saying he was fully aware and he was directing them.
yeah, it does appear that he was fully aware of what was going on, at least to an extent that his him saying that he was neglectful is a little bit suspect. And I don't think, from what I've heard, anyone of any significance is going to see a dime from the entire situation, if they're even lucky.
Hmm. Wow. But there is money to be had. One of the things that's like they're looking at like $415 million between Alameda and FTX US that was hacked away, like hacked out of the funds in some manner, and the bankruptcy committee is looking, the trustees there are looking at ways of getting all of that back, and they're filing suits on those kind of things, which brings us to the hearing that's coming up tomorrow. Okay, besides the charges, the 8 counts that they have on Samuel Bankman-Fried from the Department of Justice, and he was just arraigned. Like I said, he did plead not guilty. He's going to go to trial. Trial is going to be in October. I think it's the 2nd or the 3rd of October of this year. There will be a trial here in the United States on those charges, unless something happens in the meantime. That's what happened at that court. The other thing that happened at that court is that they agreed to um, keep private the other 2 co-signers of his $250 million bond that was required to get him out of jail. He resides with his parents, okay, who are both Stanford law professors in California. Um, he is residing with
Compliance
them. Yeah.
compliance officers, by the way.
They
Just
teach, they
throwing that out
teach,
there.
they
They teach
teach compliance.
compliance,
They teach compliance. One of them teaches
business
compliance or
compliance.
has
They
they
both
have
do.
taught it in the past. Yes, they have. Um the irony. I'm not missing the
Mm,
irony. I'm not. I mean, it,
hurts.
it, it hurts. The irony of that hurts. But
Mm,
it also says if he did know, did he actually do anything illegal? Is he not finding the loopholes that exist in our own laws? And how are we supposed to penalize him for it? Yeah. Hey, I'm
that's
just
sort
throwing it
of
out there. I'm just throwing that out there.
yeah.
If you
No,
okay,
that's true
he's either
because
super arrogant or very intelligent. Yes?
yeah,
Okay.
because uh, with crypto, it's an entirely new ball game. There
Mhm.
are next to no laws on it.
Exactly.
So we could actually be looking at either him being made a massive example of,
Mhm.
or one of the biggest scandals for any business
Exactly.
to essentially get away with, because if what I understand is right and he manages to pull off the trick that he's going to try and do, he's not looking at it a lot of time for what he's essentially done,
Well, we'll
just
see, or
because of
what
the
they're
fact
saying allegedly that he's done, because
allegedly, yeah.
he keeps saying that FTX US is solving. Okay, he keeps pressing that point over and over and over again, and that given the opportunity, everyone could get paid. Therefore, there is no fraud if what he said happened, right? And you get your money. However,
Mhm,
because Alameda Research and FTX, they are under they are not US companies. Okay. All right. However, they are used as the parent companies for FTX US. So it does get messy, and there are things he's going to have to account for. And it does look like they did things a little offhanded and wrong. But it's going to take a whole legal team, to be able to decipher that, and I just don't have the brain to do it right now. I really don't. I don't know that anyone could actually look at this and say it is absolutely this, because there is so much to it and so much convoluted things going on behind this and behind that and this one and that one. There's no way they're going to be able to straighten it out. Plus, they all have different agendas. We got the Department of Justice, we've got the US Bankruptcy Court now, we got Bahamas in bankruptcy and the government involved. Okay. All right. We have we have the two parties that do the plea deal. We have Ellison here and Wang giving testimony. We have an ex-president of FTX US on Twitter, okay, on Twitter, not cooperating with the prosecution. You see, he hasn't made a deal. He's not pink. These are the deals that happened so far. He ain't pink, and he's not
he
even blue as him talking to them yet. He's on Twitter expounding about it,
well, he
making his
does have his
case.
blue check mark, if that counts for anything.
Well, not with Elon running Twitter. He don't. No, not
Nope.
anymore. Not anymore. Sorry, not sorry, YouTube. But hey, doesn't really mean the same thing that it did
Hey,
before.
I have to say one thing about Elon. He is a very smart person due to the fact that he got out of the way of Amber Heard very quickly.
Okay, all right, I'll give you that. But I don't know. The head supposedly that child is his, so I don't know how quickly he got away. But, you know. Anyway,
Yeah,
besides, that's another show. Stop it.
that's
Let's
for
stop.
another show. Yeah.
Yeah, stay on this SBF and FTX. So, but here we go. It is very messy. But in regards to what happened on January 2nd in the arraignment, let me just go back to the bail, $250 million. And I'd like to just key you in on a little note there. That is the highest amount of bail pre-trial ever in the United States. And you're probably going, what? No, Bernie Madoff was, right? Nope. Nope. Bernie Madoff was only 10 million. I kid you not.
Mm-hmm.
250 million. Now, the reason I'm mentioning this is because the judge, Kaplan, okay, who is the new judge on the case, another little tidbit, the first judge, what was her name? That was Judge Ronnie Abrams, yes. She recused herself because her husband Mr. Andrews, was a partner in a law firm that did work in 2021 with FTX. Okay, she recused herself immediately when she found out that they had anything to do with the company at all. The right thing to do, right? No conflict of interest. Okay, so Judge Lewis Kaplan takes over for the U.S. District Court, and he's supposed to be pretty hard nosed guy. He's handled some really big cases. Um, he handled 45's case recently. He don't mess. He don't mess around. Okay, in New York. All right. So this January 2nd, he hears about this bail. He also gets a motion from the defense to actually not put forward the name of the people who are helping with the co-signing of this bond, because his parents apparently have been harassed unbelievably for putting the bond up, like for putting any part of the bond up or even giving them a place to stay. And they were worried that these other people are just going to be, their lives are just going to be turned upside down by the media and everybody else, and everybody having an opinion on whether or not he should just sit in jail. I mean, it is a white collar crime, right? I mean, it's, as long as he can't get out of the United States, I mean, why would
I-
we stick him in jail? He owes
Interesting small
a lot of
side
money.
fact.
Hmm.
His parents bought him a guard dog.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, they bought him
Well,
a
wouldn't
German
you?
Shepherd guard dog.
Do you know the amount of money that they're saying that people lost? I mean, money makes people crazy. Would you agree?
Mm. Oh yeah,
I would have a guard dog if I
yeah.
was if people were looking at me as being responsible for all this money lost. I would not even just have a guard dog. I would have guards.
Well,
Okay,
there's apparently
like
been alleged people trying to perform citizens arrest on him by
exactly.
breaking into his household,
Hmm. To hold him in other
or trying to
places.
break in.
And this is because there are class action suits, there are ex-customers speaking out and fighting, and that'll bring us like to our next point after we get through this in the actual case of the Department of Justice, the United States, coming at him for what they feel he did wrong, Bernie Madoff style, to the customers, to all of the clients of FTX, and in violation of everything. That arraignment, he's on house arrest. He wears electronic device. Okay, the R agreed to anybody else who had anything to do with the bail. Those names will be kept private. It won't be released. Okay. In that he will have trial on October 2nd. That was all, like I said. Oh, and his defense attorney is Mark Cohen. Mark Cohen. They also put forward, Judge Kaplan agreed that he would not have access to any funds for FTX or Amaldo, no assets whatsoever that they could prevent, because, and this is why I mentioned the Bahamas before, because the prosecution, and it was for this particular court hearing, it was Daniel Sassoon, or Sassoon, I believe. And she works with Damian Williams, who's the lead prosecutor in New York, for U.S. attorney in New York for this case. Okay. She brought forward that there was some movement after the bankruptcy in November. Okay, of funds in FTX and Almada, some money being moved to wallets, and they were concerned that money was being ciphered. Assets that would belong to the bankruptcy here or to anywhere else were being moved around. There could be illegal activity. But then it comes forward during an affidavit of December 29th in the Bahama courts. Okay. There was from a spokesman from the Security Committee of the Bahamas, known as the SCB. Okay. Christine Raleigh had said that they had asked them to actually, that they had they appointed liquidators to free up some money at that time to pay back customers. Okay. But do you see what I mean about information not coming through very clearly, and one hand doing one thing and the other hand doing something, and they're not knowing what each other's doing, and it looks worse, you know? So because money moved like that, it looked like they thought SBF may have something to do with it, that he did it himself. If he did release any money, it was because, as he stated in several statements, he's being very vocal. Okay, which is another point we'll come to hopefully before the end of the hour. He's being very vocal about the fact that he's being asked by the government in the Bahamas to do something legally that he has to comply with here, and then he's getting blamed for it over here as if it's something different, because the delays in communication. and how things are being presented. Do you see what I mean? Like it's so messed up. I kind of get his point there. I'm having a little tiny bit of sympathy, a little tiny bit of sympathy for him in how, even though he's done all this stuff that's messed up, even the stuff he hasn't messed up, he's just trying to comply about, is just getting tossed out there like it's the worst thing ever.
It kind of feels like he's trying to play both sides of the coin um by complying. It's almost, I get the feeling, or at least I I kind of get the feeling he's complying to this way to almost pull away people's mm, gain people's perception of what he is
Mhm.
sort of going to become if everything happens as it appears to be happening. As without incriminating myself and getting myself into some
Mhm.
legal issue. um, because he's always given this impression of the altruistic multi-millionaire. Mm,
Mhm.
but the more you look at him, the more holes start to appear.
Yeah.
Um, Not saying that he hasn't been trying to be as altruistic as he says he is, but um, it's sort of questionable.
Mhm. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Well, like on the other hand, like we don't know for sure. Like we don't know because
No, we
you
don't.
actually have to have these laws in place. Like you could say that something's wrong to do, but there has to be to for it to be a crime, there has to be a law against it. Yeah.
And that's therein lies the crux, is that
Hmm.
it's crypto, the laws are not there.
Bingo. And this is what I'm this is one of my main points. I'm not saying he's not guilty of all of the fraud or misrepresenting himself. Obviously, if you and I can both see two sides to him already, then that could possibly lead not in his favor when they're saying that he committed fraud by representing himself a way that he could not do. Okay, and representing a company to do things that it couldn't do, and not following full on promises. And if any of the money of the customers was used for anything else than what they declared it would be, then that definitely would be illegal, regardless of how that money got in there, crypto, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because even to invest in crypto, isn't there real money got to come forward from somewhere?
Yes.
Okay. And so that is where the illegalities are going to come in. How that initial funding gets put in and what you said about that initial funding and what you were going to do with it. You see my point?
Mm,
Okay.
yep.
So you got to talk about the laws on the real money before we get, and I don't mean to say real and fake. We know crypto is a huge industry. Please don't come for me, YouTube. But it's just how I look at it legally on to where the statutes and whether it's listed as a commodity, whether it's listed as an actual tradable thing, all of this stuff in US law here, which I'm not a lawyer. And I do have a little bit of finance and business in my background, but not enough in regards to this crypto stuff and where it lands. Absolutely not. I'm going by the reporting of Reuters and Forbes and Bloomberg and CoinDesk and the crypto people themselves, and the DOJ and what the actual bankruptcy attorneys are talking about, what the U.S. trustee for the bankruptcy is talking about, what the charges are. Like I'm just looking at the tangible things that I can, and trying like you guys to make sense of it. And this is that's one of the problems I see. The other thing that I see being a big problem eventually is people like this coming out, and this is the ex-president of FTX US who only spent about, oh, I think he said about 17 months working with them. Is not talking to the prosecution that we are aware of right now, but's on Twitter talking about his whole experience and about how everything just deteriorated his relationship and this, that, and the other thing. This all doesn't help. Hmm. Yep.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
doesn't help at all.
No, I mean, this was 49 points, okay? And then there are other people on Twitter that I read, an actual person, a lawyer, who said on there, he says often, like, don't take it as legal advice. Definitely don't take it as legal advice. I'll give you my opinion. He said, but I'm familiar with crypto, the metaverse, and I deal with the web. These are his articles. They're all on crypto, the metaverse, and web. They're like modern, kind of legal takes on the stuff that's going on in those industries. And he did another whole thread about another point I want to bring up, which brings us to the bankruptcy hearing that's going to happen tomorrow. Okay, there's been a couple of hearings already. Well, the bankruptcy hearing tomorrow is in regards to whether Sullivan and Cromwell, who John Ray is moving and actually gave testimony from them to Congress in regards to the bankruptcy, why they're going to bankruptcy, and what they discovered. He's been using Sullivan and Cromwell, these attorneys, to represent, to look into everything, and he wants them to represent the debtors in the bankruptcy. Okay, he wants them to be the bankruptcy lawyers. Okay, they've already been paid $8.5 million prior to the bankruptcy because they worked with FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried personally and Singh, okay, over the last few years. 20 different episodes they got paid for, 20 different events they got paid for legal advice with Samuel Bankman-Fried in regards to FTX prior to the bankruptcy. Now, I'm a lay person. You're a lay person.
That I am.
All those people over there in the chat are lay people. Does that sound like they should be representing anybody to do with the bankruptcy? Does that sound like they would be able, like if you were working with the company prior to the bankruptcy, how could you possibly resent all of the people that are looking at the bankruptcy afterwards? Because isn't one of the things they have to look at whether your money needs to be refunded? What you did? And when you're talking about financial crimes here, and you worked for the company, what red flags
Yeah.
might there be that you missed? I mean, don't you? My point being, Sullivan and Cromwell, don't you need to be looked at too? Come on.
They
Like,
sort of dodged a bullet.
but here's the thing I don't understand. Now, John Ray did Enron, right? And this man on
Mhm.
Twitter actually pointed this out. When it came to his representing of Enron, he said adamantly anybody that had anything to do with Enron legally cannot represent them in the bankruptcy. Absolutely not. That's a conflict of interest. That's not going to happen. He got back millions of dollars from lawyers that represented Enron because, get this, they should have saw the red flags. They bear some responsibility for what went wrong there.
Mhm.
Give us back the money so we can give it to the creditors.
Mm.
Okay. So, like, what? Right? Like, to me, why change your tune? He is John. Let's be clear. John Ray tells the court he wants Sullivan and Cromwell. The debtors, okay, the organization of creditor debtor, they are backing Sullivan and Cromwell. They want them. They want them. Okay. But the Department of Justice has issues. The senators have issues. Samuel Bankman Fried and his defense team, they're all having issues with it. And it's going to a judge tomorrow. But because the people actually involved in the bankruptcy are actually all for it, there's a good chance Kaplan might actually let them represent. And I'm like, what? Like,
Mhm.
whoa. And I'm not saying John Ray's not doing a good job. I mean, what he has to do, knowing the mess that is there, the fact that he can even speak on it and will only go so far and try to help people understand it, like as far as Congress and everywhere else, I'll give him great credit. I mean, he did a good job with Enron. I'm not going to say anything that he's not doing a good job here. I just don't understand him pushing these attorneys if they worked with FTX prior, FTX US prior, not just the international company, but the whole thing. Okay. The company that's being looked at.
There definitely should have been more oversight prior to this whole thing
Mm-hmm.
that has been completely missed. Um, the the fact that that they didn't bring any of this to light prior, either to me, either means that they saw it and ignored it, or they were just
Hmm.
as negligent as SBF.
I see the, and I can see that. Well, we also have to remember, I do believe, remembering that Sullivan and Cromwell had a lot to do with the Enron case too. They
Mm,
may have represented there. I'll have to check that out to be double about it. Maybe John Ray just has a good, solid trust with these people. I mean, that could be it. I mean, totally. And but he's actually saying, like, if you don't let them continue as the bankruptcy attorneys, it's going to disrupt getting money back to people. And that's kind of like a threat. Like, that's really working on the court to say, oh, you're going to, like, we're not going to be able to give money. And yet you have Samuel Bankman-Fried here screaming about this from day one. Okay, he's in the plane coming over here for extradition, and he sends his testimony to Congress, okay, like in a format. It was all written out because, of course, he was supposed to appear, but of course he can't. He got arrested. He's in the Bahamas, whatever. So, but that's the first thing he was screaming about: the appointment of John Ray and these attorneys in violation. Something's wrong here. It needs to be looked
mm.
at. Please look at it. It needs to be looked at. There's something wrong here, because why are you filing bankruptcy when FTX US is solving? He keeps repeating that over and over again, and I want to know why. And I welcome anyone who can explain that to me, what you think about it, to please come to me and talk to me, because I really would have a better understanding of it. I'm looking at the balance sheets. It looks like he knows what he's talking about. He's coming up with all of these ways that the customers could be getting paid for. He's frustrated that process hasn't started yet, that it doesn't have to be this bad for people. He's trying to put out the image, I guess, that he is willing to try to get this resolved for people, that he's more worried about that than he is his legal case. That's the impression I get from the way he's writing.
I do too. He's If he is trying to, then I kind of want to give him a little bit of leeway, but at the same time, we're playing with a lot of unknowns here.
Yes,
So,
yeah, I'd have to
mm,
admit that. Yes, we are. Um, but it does, like you said, it could he be just playing, that's the image he wants out there, that he cares about that, to get the money. That would all have to go through the bankruptcy courts anyway. But there is talk. John Ray has not removed the option that they maybe start trading again, like, so that people can get their money. And that was put
yeah,
forward in an interview he did recently that I heard myself. And I was like, what? That's interesting.
yeah, that sort of goes, wait a minute. You filed for, was it Chapter 11?
Exactly.
And as soon as you get the company, you've clearly started to make
Hmm.
plans to reverse it.
What could I tell you? Well, not right away. It's been a month or so, yeah, but still. Mm.
Mm,
But it's going
what?
to be an interesting hearing tomorrow for sure. We'll have to update everybody on that one, because I'm curious as if these lawyers will actually stay in place.
Well, if
You
you
know.
think about how slow things move, it's not implausible that he could have been contemplating that prior to him gaining control.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that he is. Don't come
Right.
after me. But the the way that I understand business, as little as I do, things tend to move very slowly. And so you could say that he might have thought, hey, if I get a hold of this company, it's essentially from the public's view worthless.
Mm-hmm.
And then once again, altruistic person who's come to rescue a company. So
Mm-hmm.
people start, wanting to get back into that. And then we're back at square one.
Exactly. Exactly. Because but some of the stuff that they did, not necessarily like, I could see that, him being seen that like he's coming to save it. But when they talk about the tactics that they use, they talk about one in particular that they uncovered this backdoor thing that they did about moving money from one place or another. In FTX would actually invest in something. He would actually put a value on something, start trading and selling it, and then Alameda Research would go and buy it up and this like this, and then they would change it. And this is how they are fraudulently making the money, because if they're working together and he owns both companies, you can't do that. Okay,
Mm,
you're not allowed to do that by the owning of both companies to inflate a market or deflate a market for your own gain. Like, that's totally no, 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 no. That's a big no everywhere, in the
I
Bahamas,
believe
here, everywhere. Okay, that's
I,
a big no.
I
But
believe
they
that's called
couldn't.
insider trading.
That's right, and they couldn't do that here in the United States, and I'm not saying it was done here. They are reporting these transactions and stuff as being done internationally, purposely. Okay, and that's how a lot of the money was made. And also, Verillion brings up a good point, that FTX was a crypto trading and exchange company, and most of that money is made off the transactions itself, back and forth. Absolutely. But also, if you are inflating the market purposely and you get to set the site, I mean, let's talk. He had a coin called Sam Coin. He gets to say what it's worth. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You keep changing it and your partner keeps buying it and selling it and this and that. You are fraudulently creating the market. Yes, you are creating movement in the market fraudulently.
Well, this is why crypto becomes so difficult to even
Mm-hmm.
study or even just look at in any in any
Mm-hmm.
reasonable way, because cryptocurrency in itself is self-valued.
True.
It's not, there is no intrinsic value other than what people have put on it, which
Mm-hmm.
you can say that about physical assets and physical companies and stuff like that. But where it differs is that crypto is uh, not just non-tangible.
Mm-hmm.
It's it essentially doesn't exist. If you really want to break it down, it doesn't actually exist.
Well, it does and it doesn't. Like, there's definitely a market. It's there. I wouldn't say that.
It's
But is it one that people actually stand behind, and like some financial advisors will tell you, no, don't go anywhere near it. It's very unstable. Even crypto will tell you it's unstable. And as in proof today, if you check the crypto market right now, because of all of these going on, they're all negative right now. They are all having problems right now. Bitcoin is down. Doge is down. What's the other one? It begins with E. Ether. Ether.
Ethereum.
They're all down.
Ethereum,
Okay.
yep. They're
There
all
are
down.
multiple bankruptcies going on, and that's just the big guys. We're not even talking about the small ones and the little people we don't even hear about. All right, just in the big
Mm.
ones, it is very volatile. It was volatile to begin with. You would have to say what happened with FTX International, based on a balance sheet between Almeida and them getting leaked. If it could do all of that damage, boom, like that, of course, this is a very volatile market. Okay, it ups and downs all that. It's not stable at all in any way, and that has to be taken into consideration if you want to invest in it. Are people making lots of money on it? Absolutely. Are people
Absolutely.
losing lots of money on it?
A
Absolutely.
100%.
Okay, it is just like it's both. It's all in one. It's also unregulated. Does it have a nice appeal to a lot of people because of that? Sure, it does.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Do they want to keep it that way? Probably.
There's a
Okay.
lot of people that wanna
hmm
keep it that way.
But there's also a lot that want to get it in so that they understand it better and there's more control and things like this don't happen. So, there's two sides of it, which is why That's the reason I want to keep talking about it. Not because I'm a crypto fanatic or that interested in crypto in general, but just the legalities that are coming up and the lack of legal precedent in this case is astounding.
I
Okay.
think a lot of legal precedent is going to be set by SBF. His whatever the verdict ends up
Hmm.
being,
And that's
he,
why it's
he-
yeah.
he's going to be either, as I said, made an example of, or be an example of why crypto is so contentious.
Exactly. And we don't know which side either, like, pro or con, as far as it becoming a legitimate market or whatever that's coming from. All we know is it's really volatile. A lot of people are invested in what happens in this case, more than just Paul SBF. I gotta call him that. I'm tired of mangling his name. It's too much for
Old
me this
Sammy
late at night.
boy.
Oh, Sammy. Yeah, Mrs. Cassandra said I should just start calling him
Mm.
Sammy. I don't think he'd like that, actually. And I don't want people to think I'm that friendly with him. Okay, so you know how rumors get started. Let's just call him SBF or Samuel Bankman Fried. Okay, and FTX US company with those two charges here. Those are the ones I'm going to follow. But I'm keeping my ear on the Bahamas too because I'm really interested in the communication between the Bahamas authorities and everything that's going on because their regulatory uh, commissions are involved in this also, not just our SEC, and the DCOC and all of that, and the Department of Justice, but theirs also, and their bankruptcy courts are involved in with it also. Like, talk about a hot mess. This is the record. I
Mm.
kind of, I kind of like you and don't like you at the same time for dropping this in my lap. It is very intriguing. It is, but my consumption of Tylenol has increased like I don't know what. So, like, if I
Oh, do
don't
you want me
talk
to
to you
bring you
next,
a re-up or something?
I don't know. You're gonna have to send me a gift certificate for headache medicine or something because, uh, I'm just saying it is that fascinating because of the lack of precedent, because of all the gray areas that they have to go into, just because the lawyers that actually had financial gain from the company prior to bankruptcy have the nerve to want to be the bankruptcy attorneys. Like, that's the best choice. Come on, that's just gold right there. And the
Mm-hmm.
fact that the probability of it happening is pretty high, I'm blown away.
Yep.
I'm just
It's
blown away.
it's a hot mess that's chilling when you break it down because
Mhm,
people's lives, people's entire livelihood has just disappeared,
mhm.
just like that. They're gone,
Yep.
and they're not likely to get them back. And it wasn't good the last time there was a serious issue with, I believe it was the stock market crashing to all hell
Mhm. Yes, we
for
did. And
people.
in this type of case, what they keep comparing it to is Bernie Madoff, and apparently from John Ray's testimony. And I have linked down near the affidavit to the bankruptcy court is down there from John Ray. You can read what he actually says about the company and how it was what he has discovered to date. You'll also get the testimony from the airplane that was going to happen from Samuel Bankman-Fried, that he didn't get to give to Congress. That document is down there. And I do believe there's also the leaked affidavit of Caroline Ellison is down there, or at least an article that has it in it. I think I linked that. But the most entertaining thing that you will probably read tonight, if you care to carry forward with this, would be the last link I dropped, which was that Samuel Bankman-Fried has decided to make a Substack, which is a blog about this for all of us so we understand where he's coming from. It's good. It's good reading. It basically covers all of the stuff that we've been talking about here and his beliefs that, FTX US is solving and what he would like to see happen. And he does admit that he messed up. But he tries to explain again how this all happened. And he keeps talking publicly about it, which I have to, eh, you know, some of you say prayers and some of us don't. We just give good feelings and vibes and we just well wishes. But all of us should for Mark Cohen, who is the defense attorney for Samuel Bankman-Fried, because his client is out here talking every day with charges that could put him away for like 110 years. Like, he's just let that sink in. His client is actually out here on social media talking every day. Like, we have to feel for the man. It's going to be a tough road. It's going to be a very tough road. You realize
It's going to
everything
be an
he puts
interesting
out,
one.
everything he puts out here in writing can be used in court against him. Everything.
Yep, and he's really trying to put out as much as he possibly can, and then some. Who wants seconds, thirds, fourths, fifths, and dessert?
Oh, always Creapo says, "Do I have to leave Substack?" No, don't leave. I'm just saying it's an entertaining read. Go read it. I don't. I believe some of it. I believe he's earnest in some of what he's saying, and some of it I'm like going, "Really? You want me to fall for that?" I can't make up my mind if he's the biggest con man ever, or if he's just like was trying to do something new and innovative and thinks different than the rest of us, and didn't find laws to prevent him from doing what he did.
Yeah, he's either got the biggest brain in the world or is Bernie Madoff 2.0. Was it Bernie Madoff? Oh god, I forgot his name already. The other guy who committed fraud.
Oh, the
Not
other
Bernie
guy.
Madoff. Um
What? Who are you talking about?
the other big guy who committed fraud
Mm.
years ago in the stock market. I can't remember.
Anyway, Bernie is the one they keep comparing everything to.
That's it. Oh, so I was right. I did
Bernie
remember.
Madoff. Yes.
Bernie Madoff.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is because when they said that he got $250 million as the bond, right, because of what he's done, and then they're going, "Oh yeah, but Bernie Madoff. Bernie Madoff was only 10 million." Like, come
Mm,
on. And this is the biggest bail pre-trial in U.S. history.
even
$250 million.
I mean, wasn't even Ponzi smaller than that? It was way less than that.
Well, well, I don't know. No, well, Bernie Madoff was like the Ponzi's king, the king of Ponzi.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the recipe. But anyway, the like I said, just watching the communications between the companies is my hook for it. That's why we're covering it. I'm going to wrap up. We'll probably not put this on our regular Monday series. It's probably going to be here and there as things pop up, just short ones here and there, maybe some videos. Maybe if Wrecker will join me again on this. He's just here to make sure I stop mangling Samuel Bankman-Fried's name, which I do
I,
regularly. It's
I've been keeping score with how many times you get it right.
did I get it right at all? Like, I'm wondering. I'm
You did get
wondering.
it right.
Well, thank you.
I think. Does the chat think she gets a gold star?
I don't
I
know.
think.
I got all the
I think.
other names, like, his parents. I know where they. I mean, I got all everybody else's name right, I think. So there you go. But when it comes to this, I'm surprised I could keep any of it straight because it's a
I.
spider web. It's just a huge, huge spider web. All the companies that are involved. And that's why I'm dropping links for you guys because I could not speak. I would be up here for 6 hours. If anybody was looking to kill time for, oh, 8 hours
3 years.
plus on a stream, just take those articles that I just dropped. Hit me up. I got 3 more for you. I just those 5 articles plus 3 I could give you, which were the actual plea agreements and stuff like that, and the charges, the actual charges. And I swear, you got 8 hours of you got 8 hours of content plus there. You could just
Easy.
keep going, and you don't even have to do anything but read it to them. So just read it to them. That's it. It's like trying to get all the clowns in the clown car, and they just keep going in and keep going in and keep going in. And basically all you have at the end is a car full of clowns. Nobody knows what's going on. Nobody does.
There's a
Nobody
reason
cares.
why there are entire channels devoted to just crypto.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There is. All right. I don't
But
know why I would have to learn this name. Shield.
Reuters?
No, Reuters I could say, but like in Australia, there's another paper that's different. Reuters here is a business thing. I don't know this Maurizio Alejandro Sergio Rodolfo. Why can't I say that? But I wouldn't say it more than once without reading it. Like, I do get
Say
a gold
that 5
star.
times really fast.
No, not gonna do it. I got it out once and I think it was pretty good. But there you go.
Fair enough.
Stick with that. On that, do you have anything else to close with, sir?
It's a hot mess, and I applaud you for even attempting it.
Well, thanks for keeping me company of it, and thanks, for the headache. It's an interesting one, but it is a headache for sure. But I'm gonna keep on it unless there's a revolt in the people that follow me and say just don't do that. If you didn't like this, like please go comment that because now I'll do my used to. So don't forget to like and share and comment. And you can comment when you don't like it. Bear's got a thick skin. Have you not noticed what goes on around here? I have to take a lot. I have to take a lot. And I can, especially constructive. So if you didn't like it and you don't want to hear about it, tell me because there are lots of cases out there that I could follow instead. I could do this one private if you wanted. But in the meantime, don't forget like, share, comment. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you get the notifications because there's a lot coming at you. There's video uploads, there lives. There's I've got more going on in the next couple of weeks than I could possibly sit here and tell you all about. You need those notifications. That bell is going to be if you want to know what's going on, that bell's going to be your friend. That's going to be your friend. And thank you, Maya. I'm glad you had fun. I got a headache, but I'm glad you had fun. This is a very, very deep and convoluted cases, I should say, multiple international financial, legal, and civil cases that are just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Too much, too much. And yes, Mrs. Cassandra, that I will announce. We do have mayhem tomorrow at 10 o'clock for those of you that just want to let your hair down and stop talking about the serious stuff for the week that we've been doing and just do a mayhem, our once a month mayhem. On that, don't forget to go to Twitter or the back of my community tab to vote for the caption contest winner, which will be announced during that show. Okay, so everybody go vote. Go vote, vote, vote. All that's up there on the community tab. And if you follow me on Twitter, it's over there too. All right. Are we done,
Well done.
Prager?
You
We
got
done?
through.
Yeah, we did.
Yep.
Right. Thank you, moderators. Thank you, those talking in the chat and contributing. And thank you for everybody out there that's watching this either now or later. On that, we're just going to say good night.
See you later.